First of all, I'd just like to say thank you very much for a great night. Thank you to every one of the fighters. Just want to say a few thank yous as part of the protocol of our event tonight here in Berlin, the O2 World. First, I'd like to thank our sponsors, EA Sports. The game UFC launches in June. I'd also like to thank Unibet and, of course, our partners here in the O2 World Arena. Great arena, great night, and the fans have gone home happy. So, I'd also like to say that we had, through the door, sitting in seats, over 8,000 people watching the fights. Tonight's event was available in over 325 million households around the world. So people watched the great action from everywhere, all corners. Over 170 million households just here in Europe, Middle East and Africa. I'd like to also say that we broadcast it live on 2 army bases here in Germany. We're just getting Twitter messages from those guys who had a great night, so again thank you to everybody. Changed it up a little bit, there were so many great fights tonight. We're going to commend 4 fighters for 4 great performances rather than have a fight of the night. First up, £50,000 better off, Magnus Sedenblad. Also going to bed happy, Nicholas Baxter. Told you he was going to bed happy. CB Dollaway, what a great fighter. And finally, Gegard Munoz. It doesn't take away from every one of the fighters who put on great performances tonight. I think you must admit, you have to admit, that when anybody ever says anything about our card, anything about the performances, every one of these fighters was committed, gave the fans every piece of value tonight. And I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart and on behalf of Dana, who's catching the plane home very quickly. Thank you very much to the fighters. I'm going to open it up to questions right away so we can get going.
Gegard, start with you. You spoke to me during the week. You said you were very nervous going into this fight and you felt motivated. How do you assess your performance after that fight?
Well, I came from a loss, so you have always pressure. You don't want to lose twice in a row in the UFC, so every fight is important. I would give it 8, I would say.
And Mark, to you, that's 2 pretty hard losses in your last 2 fights. You know, what's next for you?
You know, you just gotta pick up the pieces and just keep going. You know, it was a tough loss, but you know, I think it doesn't matter how many times you fall, but it's how many times you pick yourself back up there after a loss or a failure. So. That's what I'll do.
Gary, just one final question. Obviously, the Dublin card coming up quite soon. Is there any other Irish fighters that you might be looking at signing and to put on the card?
Signing and putting on the card. I mean, I think we're public right now with the card that we have. We're always looking for great fighters to put on all cards. Doesn't matter which country, but I think we're all pretty excited about that event itself. So more to come on that one.
For Nicholas Baxter, just go through your feelings when you heard that 50k is coming your way.
Oh yeah, it's really nice. I'm just sitting counting taxes. I don't know how much I'm gonna get out of it, but I bet it's a lot. So it's like 10 times. It's like 100 times more money than I ever had. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Question here to Nick and also to Peter. Can you just sum up your feelings in regards to fighting for the UFC the first time in Berlin and how much this means to both of you? Sorry for Peter, not for the first time for you, but returning after quite a while.
You want to go ahead? Okay. So, as I said many times before, this is the mountaintop of sports events I've ever been to. You know, I was in the judo national team and I was really trying, I was close competing in the Olympics, but this is so much over the top, you know. I'm so happy. I think we did a great step to the future of MMA and especially, sorry, the UFC in Germany. And you know, I think Peter will agree. Our wins were just like the topping on the ice cream that we had today. So totally overrun by positive feelings, and I think, yeah, I want you to give the chance to say how you feel.
Yeah, I've been waiting for my first win in the UFC for more than 5 years. On my first run, I lost 3 times in a row. I had to go back to the local circuit, but I made it back tonight. I had my first UFC victory. It's an awesome feeling. Plus, fighting in Germany, in my home country, with a lot of fans and a lot of support. I think it was a great step toward a great future in MMA in Germany.
And just a question for Gary here. When we obviously spoke a few months ago at the press conference, right up until now that the event's over, can you just sum up in your own words how the German media has taken to the UFC and how things have changed?
Well, you know, I'm always going to have a biased view. I think there's many others who could give you an equally subjective view, but I think we've worked hard here for 4 years. Everybody knows that we've had our challenges in Germany and we have to be respectful of the authorities. But it's time for people to realise this is an elite performance sport. These are elite athletes that are admired all around the world by every athlete. And I think that we've seen with built newspaper coverage here in Germany. We've had 4 television networks in the audience tonight who have shook hands, left the building saying what a great night, didn't have no imagination that it was going to be that good. And I think I'd like to echo Peter's words, which I think the future is very bright for us here in Germany, as it is for all MMA.
Question for CB. How would you rate your performance tonight? And you seem to be struggling a bit. Can you just sum up what injuries that you may have?
It wasn't the performance I wanted. You know, I wanted to finish, but sometimes you don't get what you want. It was a tough fight, and right now, you know, my elbow, my leg, got stitches in both eyes. It was a tough fight. And, you know, gave the fans what they wanted, hopefully.
And how hard were the kicks from Francis? And what was with the taunting of each other?
The kicks from Francis were, I mean, if you can see my body, you know, my leg is pretty tore up, my elbow's tore up, but taunting was for the fans, you know. People like to see that, make it exciting, you know, that's why we do this, is to put on a show and make it entertaining. So, you know, hopefully you were entertained.
And just to sum up, would you say now that you're a top 10 UFC fighter?
You know, I'll leave that up to you guys, up to the media, you know, you guys make the rankings, but I feel I'm in the top 10 and I'm now a contender in the middleweight division.
Question for Gegard. You got your very impressive win over a top 10 guy. Where do you see yourself in the middleweight division?
Well, I think just beneath 5, round 7 to 5, maybe.
Question for Gegard as well. Over here.
All right.
After the fight, you said that you were interested in bouts with either with Luke Rockhold or Tim Kennedy. What is it about those 2 fighters that interest you?
No, I'm not interested in them at all, but I think coming from a win, I'm going to get a winner. So it's going to be Kennedy, Luke Rockhold, or anyone who's coming off a win and is maybe a contender. So that's why I think I will get one of those guys, but I don't know. I'm not challenging anyone.
And a question for Niklas as well. Now that you know that you're going to get that bonus over here, what do you plan on spending that bonus money on?
I haven't thought so far. I know I owe my girlfriend for rent this month. Yeah, after that I'll do something cool. I don't know. Yeah, it's weird.
Gary, how can we expect to see the EMEA schedule develop over the next 12 months? Because at the minute it's 6 shows this year. Can we expect it to go up maybe next year with the response that it's getting so far? And just to follow on to that, you said certain shows are going to be held on certain dates, like London in February. So for places like Berlin, Dublin, Stockholm, is it going to be rotationary, maybe every 18 months? Because since you only have 6 events per year at the minute, it'll be hard to keep going back to the 6 places each year and ignore other areas.
Yeah, so you know the plan hasn't really changed. When you come to Berlin and you put on such a good show and everybody gets excited and really, you know, you leave the town thinking we want more, then we've already started negotiations for the 23rd of May 2015 back in Berlin. So that makes a lot of sense for us because everybody's accepted us. We like being in, the fans love it, and that's on the plan. We know what Dublin looks like for this year, July the 19th, and if it works, which we hope it will, then there's a plan to come back to Dublin. Now what we've had, this is no secret because you all keep asking, when are you coming to Helsinki, when are you coming to Warsaw, when are you coming to, we just, you know, we're limited by how much we can put out there. So I like to have a very clear base so that we can keep going back to the same places year after year and we can build on that and the fans expect it and people will travel in to come see us, and then we're going to start adding some new territories, new markets.
Just 2 quick things from that. In response to one, Dana mentioned the other day that Fox Sports 1 are interested in the Dublin card. What's your opinion on that? Do you think it undermines the EMEA deal, or it's good that the big networks are taking such an interest in these perceived lower cards?
Well, no, you've got to give credit to my team in Europe. Our team in Europe said, you know, enough of this Fox driving everything that we do in Europe. Let's go and do it ourselves. Guess what? Fox saw what we were doing, and now they want a piece of the action. So good, well done, Europe. So we've all achieved what we set out to do. If Fox in America want to broadcast our fights, and there isn't anybody who's a UFC fan that wouldn't want to see that tonight. So if they want to buy it, great, bring it on.
And finally, Dana sometimes will jokingly make reactionary comments. I asked the other day about 3 fights being added to the Dublin card, boosted up to, say, the level of a Fox Sports 1 card. Was that a throwaway comment, or can you confirm that more fights will actually be added for July in Dublin?
I'm not going to comment on that because it's Dana's comment, but you know, I always like the way that you try and get more out of Dana, and everybody tries to get a lot out of Dana. And we're busy now trying to find 3 more fights, but it might not be 3, it might be 1, it might be 2. But thanks for instigating that comment. Thanks for creating a lot more work for us in the EMEA office.
Okay, question to Nick and Peter. What is actually your feelings now after you won the fight towards the critics of the UFC here in Germany? What do you want to say to them?
I just want to say to all the critics, I have no problems if you have a problem with MMA, but please take your time and get informed about our sport, because there is one thing I don't like. It's people who don't know nothing about MMA and saying bad stuff about us, and I think, in my opinion, that's the biggest problem.
Do your homework.
Yes, do your homework. The journalists and reporters have to do their homework and get educated about our sport. And if they have a bad opinion after that, okay, I'm cool with that. But I got the feeling that a lot of journalists haven't seen one fight in their life, and of course that's bad.
Nevertheless, I would like to add that my experience these weeks was like the media quite changed. You know, they were quite positive, and you know the questions I got asked were usually really fair. So I think you know, it's like we say in German, geben und nehmen, giving and receiving. You know, we should also like be grateful to the media this time, because they were really fair, you know, they were objective, they gave us a good chance to present the sport how it is, and yeah, so I also want to say thanks to the media, and the critics weren't really that mean this time.
And the question to Gary, and what's the progress now with the broadcasting it now in German TV?
Well, as I said, we've had 4 major broadcasters in this country who've attended the event tonight at the highest level. They're very impressed, very pleased, and you'll be seeing some stuff come from that area next 30 days.
What you gonna do about your fighters paying their rent?
Hey, we can only reward them for their performance. Whether they pay their rent or whether they don't, that's not my problem. My issue is we have to just pay them for putting on a great show, and I think the 4 guys that were rewarded tonight did exactly what they're supposed to do.
Question for Sean. Over there. To your left.
I see you, man. I got you.
Oh,
wait, there we go.
When did you break your finger, and does it make the win that much more satisfying that you were able to pull it off with a broken finger?
Oh, you know, it kind of sucked because I broke it in the beginning of the 3rd round, and my mindset, I was kind of irritated my first two rounds. I came in there, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get his face, I'm gonna pressure him, I'm gonna hit him, and then he threw a right hand and it hit my finger, and I heard a crunch. And I was like, why can't I close my hand? And I kind of messed with my finger, and I was like, oh, it's dislocated. It kind of clicked in my brain. So it kind of threw me off a little bit. You know, it sucks when you're in a fight and you know that you just took away one of your biggest weapons, your right hand. So mentally it kind of threw me off. But I mean, I just knew if I just kept sticking and moving, I would win on points. I was a little disappointed that I didn't get more of an exciting show, but. I mean, I'm young in the UFC. This is my 2nd fight, so I mean, I'm hoping that I can put this behind me, move on, and get more exciting fights in the UFC for you guys.
Question for Nick. Most people know by now that you have a regular job as a policeman, so obviously your schedule is very tight. Now I'm wondering when we can see you back in the octagon. I mean, since you're coming from a judo background and you're married to a Japanese wife, it would make absolute sense to put you on the Japan card in September, and I'm asking if you would be ready for that.
I wouldn't mind, but it's not in my hands. But you know, when the company calls me, I would definitely go and enjoy my time over there, because you know, Japan is the crowd is also really grateful. They love MMA there. It already arrived years ago, and I think this would also be a great opportunity to show great MMA fights.
Thanks. Just a follow-up question. We just talked about the rough times that the UFC and MMA sport in general had in Germany, and now the media has opened up, you know, prior to the event a little bit. But after your fights at the scrums, I again heard a couple of really strange questions from a couple of media guys. So what do you think, how long is the way that the UFC still has to go over here in Germany, with guys like you now?
I think we already came quite far, but you know, there's still a way, of course, but I wouldn't really mind answering those questions either, because these questions are always going to come, and I think it's our job to answer those questions and be patient and show everyone how great the sport is, and that it's a sport and not, you know exactly what you mean. So yes, you have to be patient, and it's going to work out anyway. I'm pretty sure.
My question is for Gary. I'm over here. I was wondering when the production team realized it had the wrong canvas.
No, we realised we had the wrong canvas when we put it down. So, you know, we have the logistics of this business with over 50 fights a year. Sometimes stuff doesn't quite work out the way it's supposed to, and the canvas that was supposed to be here is somewhere else at the moment. So we had to go to Plan B. Fortunately, we are well equipped to have a Plan B, and so that was a standard canvas that didn't meet the sponsors' needs, but it met our needs and it met the fighters' needs.
Are there any concessions that you're making to sponsors as a result of that, or is just chalk it up to bad luck?
No, we informed them ahead of time. They knew what was coming, and it's just part of doing business. It's when you're running this operation, as you well know, this is it's not easy, and it's just one of those things. It happens.
And a question for CB. Did you have any interaction with Dana after the fight?
Not yet. I think he had to catch a plane and get out of here.
Did you hear about the tweet that he posted after your fight?
No, I haven't been on my Twitter or anything yet. My phone doesn't really work here.
I just wanted to read this to you. It says, CB is awesome on the mic, dynamic, all caps. Do you think that you still have some convincing to do in terms of like convincing, Dana and the UFC that you're a top 10 guy, you're worth those marquee fights, or do you think that this was a one?
Yeah, I probably got to get better on the mic, but when you're exhausted after a fight, I let it all hang out, gave everything I had, so yeah, I was tired, after the fight. It was a tough fight, bleeding out of both eyes. Like, sorry I couldn't put on a better performance on the mic, I try to let my fighting do the talking, but next time I'll have something better to say, I guess. I don't know, sorry.
Question for Nicholas. Over here. How do you feel about your opponent Tom Niinimäki and his performance tonight?
No, I always thought Niinimäki was a really good fighter, and I said in a bunch of interviews, it's too bad he has to fight me now, so he goes back. But I think he has huge potentials to be a top 10 fighter in this weight class, no doubt. It's just, yeah, he had to fight me.
Niklas, you said something about an injury, a broken toe. What did the doctor say about that?
No, I don't know, it's just the way it goes out to the left. I don't know, he just taped them together and said we should x-ray them when we get back to Sweden, so yeah, I'm not too bothered about it. I got money now.
Question for Nicholas. What was your game plan coming in to this fight?
No, I never have a game plan really, but I like to do stand-up. I won the Swedish championship on the ground through submission wrestling, so I'm like secure everywhere. But yeah, I like to strike standing, and I think I got like more into my reach and my knockout power lately. I'm so sorry, but yeah, I didn't have a game plan.
With this win, where do you think this puts you in the division? And do you have your mindset for a future opponent, or do you take just whatever they give you?
No, I take whatever they give me. Of course, my future like mindset for is Jose Aldo. I want to be the best in the world, of course. Yeah, as I say all the time, I don't think you should go into MMA if you want to be like top 10, or if you just want to get into UFC and say hi and then go out, because then you're gonna get hurt. Yeah.
You're known for being a gamer. Did you get a chance to play the new UFC game?
No, I didn't, but now I'm buying that.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Get rematch.
Rematch.
Thank you, Nicholas.
Thank you.
Gary, over here. Dana told us yesterday that you had meetings this week to discuss the Ultimate Fighter in Europe. You mentioned that it will involve quite a few countries, England, Germany, Sweden. Can you provide us with any more information? Would it be a tough that would launch this year or maybe 2015?
It won't air on television until 2015, but the discussions are still going on, so I can't really tell you much more than, I don't think it's just going to be it's not going to be one Ultimate Fighter or one reality package. It's going to be a number of those. We need to do them in the major countries, and we need to keep it going. It's no good just turning up and having one event in a market. You've got to keep producing content for television to the guys from Germany. Their point, you've got to keep educating the audiences. A lot of people still need to be made aware of how great this sport is and how great these athletes are, and that's one way to tell that story. So it's picking those markets and just keep repeating that. So we've got some plans that we'll start to reveal over the next 90 days.
And you mentioned earlier, obviously, you've got your 6 events this year. You're looking to expand next year. Are there any countries or any markets that are a dead cert that you will be visiting in 2015?
Yeah, I think we've already announced that we'll be in London. We're looking at
That's outside of the 6.
outside of the 6. There's nothing that I can announce right now because we haven't confirmed the arenas, but there are 4 new markets that we're talking to right now, so I can't say any more than that.
So we're looking at 10 events next year?
It'll definitely be 9. We're working on 10.
Cheers, thank you.
Question for Peter Sobota. Peter, your opponent came from a great gym with great jiu-jitsu and elbows from every angles. Were you aware of this when you took him to the ground?
Yeah, I knew that he has 6 wins by TKO with elbows, but he scored it from the top. So I knew when I take him down and put him on his back, elbows from the back are not very dangerous, in my opinion. I tried to pass the guard, but he had a really good guard, and I was a little bit surprised because of that, because I thought it would be a little bit easier. But he did pretty good on the ground, so I kept it also standing. It was a great fight, and I enjoyed it.
Thank you. And one more for CB. CB, would you agree that besides winning the fights, wrestling can save S? Would you agree that besides winning the fights, wrestling can save fighters' S? A few times, because you were in danger a few times, so yeah, that's why.
Oh yeah, wrestling's great to have and in your back pocket if the striking's not working out. Francis was hard for me to get to, landed that hook early, but yeah, I had to rely on my wrestling to save my butt. I don't want to cuss in front of everybody.
And last one for Mr. Gary Cook. Did you have a chance, because I know for a fact that few Polish fighters outside of UFC came here for an event. Did you have a chance to meet with them?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we're always open to talking about fighters who want to join the UFC, and they have to be good enough, and yeah, we've had lots of conversations. I got to tell you, this week we go around the world. This week has been an interesting week, and I think not only has it opened up the German market, but this was attractive to people from the Netherlands. We had 14 nations represented on the card. We had fans coming in from Czechoslovakia, from Russia, from Poland. We've had a lot of different nations in it, so it's just all part of what we do. The next thing is, how do we get an event in Poland, and we're having that discussion, as you well know.
Thank you. Could you share some names from Poland?
Well, I'm not going to go down that path. That's just a rocky road.
Very nice.
Question for Gary, up front. In the Finnish media, there's been a lot of talk about October, perhaps, for a UFC event. Have you been in contact with any of the people behind it?
Wow, this is an amazing world, isn't it? I spoke to the Helsinki arena an hour ago. I said, what's going on? What have you got in the 4th quarter to add another event? And there you go. He's told you. So well done.
All right.
But we don't know yet. So
have you been scouting fighters from Finland? Scene is really growing up.
No, that's not something I get involved in. As you know, Sean Shelby and Joe Silva, that's what they do, and Dana and the guys. I've got a lot of other stuff to take care of, so I'll leave that to them.
All right. Thank you.
Gary, over here, on your left. You just mentioned that you're already in negotiations with the O2 Arena guys for a return next year. I guess you said May 23rd, right? How far are those negotiations, and how safe is Berlin as a place for next year?
Well, they're
also other German cities.
Yeah, sure. No, they're pretty good. I like capital cities. I have to be very honest. And I think that as an organisation trying to build, trying to grow, it's always good to be coming back to the same place so people can prepare. They can take time to be prepared. I think the issue in May this year was we had a German Cup final, we had a Champions League final. The German team went off to the World Cup. We had a May Day, we had another bank holiday, we had a holiday this weekend. I mean, it's not an easy market in May. But next year there's a gap that's appeared. It'll be after the German Cup final. So we're working with the guys here who have been brilliant. The O2 Arena here, these guys are fabulous, and they want us back. And whenever people want you, and the fans react, and you come back.
Gary, Dana mentioned the possibility of an Irish terrestrial TV deal. with an Irish national broadcaster. Can you shed any more light on that?
I've got a very, very strong suspicion that the Dublin fight will be on a terrestrial TV network.
So, name which one?
No, I can't, but it's a pretty limited fight.
TG Carr or so.
Yeah, exactly.
And just another one for Gegard and CB. Any possibility you guys might like to meet each other in the octagon?
I don't know, that's up to the matchmakers. Of course, we both won, so it's a possibility, but for me it doesn't make any difference.
Kind of feel the same way, you know, it's up to the matchmakers, but, you know, I'm more looking to try to headline the Arizona card. That would be my dream. December 13th, I don't know if you want to come to Arizona.
Why not?
I've been fighting out of the country for my, you know, the last 3 out of 4, so I'd like to fight in my own backyard, and, you know, whoever wants to come to Arizona and fight me, I'd like that.
Another question for Gegard. You're very popular in Japan. You were a dream champion. The UFC is going to return there in September this year. Even though it's not sure who your opponent will be, are you perhaps interested in fighting in Japan?
Yeah, I would definitely love to fight in Japan. I think the Japanese crowd is well educated and always. I just like Japan, so if I would able to fight, I would love that. But they already have the headline, so co-main event would be great for me. But I would love to fight in Japan, yeah.
For sure. And a question for Sean? Over here. It was a split decision, a pretty close fight. Were you nervous when you were awaiting the decision?
You know, man, usually when you go to a different country, like the golden rule is you never want to go to decision. So, I mean, when I heard the split decision, I was like, I just lost this fight. But, I mean, I felt I landed a lot more shots than he did. I mean, I was kind of on my bike, you know, backpedaling a little bit, but just going out of the country, everything. We no excuses. I probably should have been a little bit more aggressive and got in his face, but it is what it is, you know. My next fight should be a lot better, but yeah, no, I was definitely nervous. I was nervous.
Thank you.
Another one for Gary. Again, on the left. You just mentioned 4 TV networks being in attendance tonight. Can you name them?
No, it'd be unfair to them because we're still talking to each one of them. There's only space for 2 of them, so we have to keep that under wraps. But I think that the key to that is that we've got 4. 6 months ago, 9 months ago, there wasn't anybody. So congratulations to every fighter, congratulations to the fans, and more importantly, congratulations to you, the German media, for making it happen.
This one's for Gegard, right here. Very stable. That was respecting English. Not when, but, I mean not if, but when there's going to be an Ultimate Fighter in the Netherlands, which would like to be a coach.
Yeah, definitely. I think UFC, if they would have an event in Holland, it would be great. It would sell out, I think. And you have some good Dutch fighters, so I hope so.
And a follow-up question on that. You just said you would like to fight in Japan. If you should choose Japan or Amsterdam, what will you choose?
Definitely Japan, because the people of Japan are very respectful and they really know the sport. So I always enjoyed fighting in Japan. So, yeah. But Holland would be good too. Yeah.
Question for Mr. Gary Cook. We're here.
2 more. We'll do 2 more. This one and 1 more, okay?
Mr. Cook. Over here.
Oh, there you go, sorry.
You just mentioned plans about UFC Finland. You said 3rd quarter, and you mentioned that you're going to 4th quarter. Sorry. You mentioned that you're going to Sweden the 4th of October, and Helsinki and Sweden is quite close. The Swedish event is not in danger, is it?
The Swedish event is, I think, it's well publicised. Dana's been very open this week, talking about, obviously, the talk is about Gustafsson. That's going on in the background. There's a crowd in Sweden that want to see a great event. We want to keep that on the card. I don't think personally. I don't think the fact that they'd be close together would be a problem. But again, there's so many moving parts to this. Everybody thinks it's just a case of like taking a piece of paper and mapping out where you want to go. There's so many moving parts. The arena, the dates available, getting a great card, getting a great TV network, getting the media behind it. It's an awful lot of work. But the good news is, like I said earlier, 12 months ago, 18 months ago, people were scared of having a UFC event in their city, and now we've got cities, including city officials, calling us and asking us to bring the UFC fans to their city. So I'm not scared of doing those two events in the same quarter. One more.
Dana mentioned a European title fight possibly by the end of the year. Where would you like to see a title fight?
In Europe. Anywhere, because I've always said it, and I've been quite public about it. One of the great things, and no disrespect to the Americans at the top table or any other nation represented, Venezuela's included, my goal is to have a European carrying their flag fighting for a world title. I don't care whether it's in Stockholm, whether it's in Berlin, wherever it might be, and that's one of the goals for us. You know, that we've got to have world titles, so the world watches Europe host a world title fight.
Do you think it'll happen by the end of the year yourself?
That's a difficult one. You know, again, Dana and the guys are working on a whole bunch of different things. You just never know. You just never know. But the great thing is, again, Dana gives us a lot of confidence because he comes over and he flies over, and you know, he could equally have gone into Brazil tonight. You know, Lorenzo's still in Vegas, and they have the greatest confidence. But it's not just in us and our team, UFC. It's the way that the media are reacting, the way that the story is building, and it's the fighters when they come to Europe, they put on great shows, and that's all helping build. So we're always going to be looking to have title fights, big cities. It's just going to get bigger and better. That's it. Can I just close, if I may, just for 1 second, just to say thank you very much to you, the media. I know some of you have travelled many miles, travel very safely, enjoy your family when you get back. I'm going to have one call out. We've worked very hard in Germany, thanks to the German public, but I want to call out Munoz and Mark Munoz. I have the greatest respect for them. We call on them, they are athletes, that's their job. We've asked them also to be PR executives for our brand and our business, and I have the greatest respect for every bit of work that we put them through, and I cannot thank them enough. They represent our business, and they represent every fighter, and I admire that greatly. So thank you very much to them. We'll see you all hopefully in Vegas for the International Week, all of those of you covering European events, and obviously can't wait to see you in Dublin. Thank you and travel safely. Bye-bye.